Okay, so as we had discussed section 28, section 29, 30 and 31, let us start discussing something called as section 32. So what is section 32? Section 32, what does this is? This speaks about something called as depreciation. So what is this? Is something called as depreciation. So what are the conditions which you are supposed to comply to take the benefit of section 32? That's what we are trying to understand here. Now let us see. So there is something called as explanation 3 to section 32. So there is something called as explanation 3 to section 32. Let us discuss what is this. Basically, before that, let us see few basic things so that we can understand section 32. What section 32 says? Section 32 clearly says depreciation. You can take depreciation on what is depreciation is, okay, let me, depreciation, okay. So first condition or whatever it is says that depreciation is available on what? Depreciation is available on assets. So whatever thing you are calling as an asset, so on that asset depreciation is available if you satisfy few conditions. So depreciation is available on assets, and the most important thing, something called as your block. What is that? Block of asset. That's what is the first thing. So on what you can take the depreciation? You can take depreciation on something called as asset. You can take depreciation on something called as block of asset. Now we need to understand what meaning of asset. So what is called as an asset for the purpose of your computation of your profits and gains from business or profession? So what is the meaning of an asset? For this, as I mentioned, you need to refer to something called as explanation 3. Explanation 3 to section 32. If you refer explanation 3 to section 32, it specifies the meaning of an asset. So what it says, if we look into the particular section, it says asset includes something called as tangible asset. So any sort of tangible asset, such as what? Such as it could be building, it could be plant and machinery, and it could be something called as furniture. So any tangible asset means what? Something called as building, something called as plant, or something called as furniture is said to be called as a tangible asset. Then explanation 3 also says that asset not only tangible, it also says assets includes something called as intangible asset. So there are two things which are included. One is said to be called as tangible. Another one is said to be called as intangible. Now, what is the meaning of intangible asset? Any sort of assets which cannot be seen, which cannot be touched is something called as your intangible asset. Now, in this present case, let us take a few examples. So, you are having something called as know-how. You are having something called as a patent. You are having something called as a copyright. You are having something called as a trademark or whatever it is. So any sort of know-how, any sort of patent, any sort of copyright, or any sort of trademark is said to be called as an asset. That's what is the first part. So we had discussed the first part of the section, which says what? It says about something called as an asset. Now what is the meaning of block of asset? That we'll discuss at a later stage. Okay, for the time being, I am not going into the section. I'm just giving a briefing of what is called as block of asset. This point will clearly discuss when we are going through something called as computation of your written down value. Okay, or okay. So let me complete the concept of block of assets here itself. Now, okay, let us see the meaning of block of assets. So now if we try to look into something called as block of assets, let us see. Now we need to refer something called as section 2 subsection 11, which tries to define the meaning of the block of asset. Let us see. Now, let us try to understand the definition there. Okay. Yeah. Block of asset. Block of asset. So these are the two definitions which we need to understand. What is second one? Second one is something called as the block of asset, for which we need to understand something called as section 2 subsection 11, and we need to understand rule 5 sub rule 1 of the Income Tax Act. So that's what is the thing which we need to understand here. Now, what is the meaning of block of asset? Block of asset, simple way to understand block of asset is nothing but a group. What it says, group. So group of asset, that means what we are trying to do, we are trying to prepare a group of assets. Now how do I prepare a group of assets there? Let us see. Basically we had discussed one thing. What explanation 3 to section 32 says, your assets are divided into two categories. Now if you are looking into something called as explanation 3 to section 32, as per that your assets are broken up into two parameters. What are those? Those two parameters is something called as tangible assets and some other thing called as intangible assets. Now it also says tangible assets such as, one word has been used. It could be building, it could be plant and machinery, it could be something called as furniture. So whatever tangible assets you have, all these tangible assets is something called as your block of assets. Now what we are trying to do, intangible, as we know, buildings are there, furnitures are there, plant and machinery are there. Now what we are trying to do, block of assets is nothing but grouping of assets. Based on what basis? Based on, so grouping of assets is based on two different parameters. One, based on type of asset, based on rate of depreciation. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to divide that into different groups based upon type of asset, based upon rate of depreciation. So on this category we are trying to segregate your types of asset. Now in this we need to now look into something called as rule rule 5 rule 5 sub rule 1 of Income Tax Act speaks about something called as rates of depreciation. So we are trying to apply rule 5 sub rule 1 to determine something called as rates of depreciation. Now already we had covered that explanation 3. It says that your tangible assets can be broken up into something called as furniture. Your tangible assets can be broken up into something called as building. Your tangible assets can be broken up into something called as plant and machinery. That's what is as per explanation 3 to section 32. Now, rule 5 sub rule 1 says that for a furniture, your rate of depreciation is this. For building, your rate of depreciation could be this or it could be that. For a plant and machinery, under different cases, your rates of depreciation is going to be this. Which rule is telling? Rule 5 specifies the rate of depreciation. Now, okay. So let me now discuss something called as the furniture. So furniture, the rate of depreciation is very simple. As per rule 5 sub rule 1, the rate of depreciation is just simply 10%. 10%. On what? Rates of depreciation to be applied on something called as written down value. That I will discuss, not now. That will discuss subsequently. Now, rate of depreciation on furniture is what? 10% on the written down value. Then what is the rate of depreciation of the building? The building, for this purpose of the Income Tax Act, there are 4 different blocks. Block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4. There are 4 different blocks of depreciation rates specified for something called as buildings. Now, what is the rates of each block? When which rate is going to be applicable? That's what we are supposed to discuss. Now, let us see. Block 1. What is this block? Whenever buildings are used by you for residential purpose, okay, whenever the buildings are used for the residential purpose, then ultimately that comes into something called as block 1. So when it comes into something called as block 1, the rate of depreciation should be considered as 5%. So the block 1 is what? Any sort of buildings used for residential purpose, the rate of depreciation is going to be 5%. Now, other than residential. So whenever the building is used for any purpose other than residential purpose, the rate of depreciation is going to be 10%. 10% is going to be the rate of depreciation. Now, then, okay. So whenever, okay, so whenever you are having, say for example, any sort of building used for water treatment, any sort of building used for water treatment, there the rate of depreciation is said to be called as 40%. Water treatment. Then fourth one, any sort of building which has been erected, erection, temporary cases of erection of a building, there also your rate of depreciation is going to be 40%. So the first block is furniture, only one rate is there, 10%. The second block is going to be your building, there you are having 4 different rates of depreciation, 4 different blocks. Depending upon the rate of depreciation, what we'll do, we'll try to group the blocks together. Then what is the next one? Plant and machinery. You are having a several blocks in something called as a plant and machinery. Let us try to see basic things there. Okay, first block, generally the rate of depreciation is going to be 15%. The general rate of depreciation is going to be 15%. Whatever case, if it is not a special case which are covered later, the rate is going to be 15. Now you are having an other rate of depreciation which is nothing but 20. Okay, there are few rates I will discuss. For what it is 20, I will discuss. First let me mention the rates which are applicable for the plant and machinery. So 20% is one rate. Then third, 30% is some other rate. So you are also having something called as 30% as the rate of depreciation. And major cases 40%. So basically we'll be applying two different rates, 15%, 40% will be applicable in the majority of the cases. Then you are also having something called as 45%. You are also having the rate of depreciation as 45%. So these are the basic rates of depreciation we have. Now let us see when I need to apply 20%. What sort of scenarios I need to apply to 20%? Generally 20% is the rate of depreciation which is applicable in the case of ships, ocean going vessel, or vessels operating on land, on inland waters, or it may be something speedboats or whatever it is. For that, the generally the rate of depreciation is going to be 20. Now, okay, then the rate of depreciation is 30. Whenever you are having a motor car, and the motor car is used on hire basis, say Ola cabs is there, Uber cabs is there. So all these people, what they are doing, their motor cars has been used on hire basis. So ultimately what will happen? Plant and machinery, the depreciation rate is going to be 30%. Then 40% in major cases, you'll be having something called as 40%. Let us try to see what are those cases where you are having 40% as a rate of depreciation. So this 45% I will take it later. So 40% you are having in multiple cases. Let us see what are those. You are having something called as computer. The rate of depreciation is 40. You are having something called as books. the rate of depreciation is going to be 40. Okay, you are having something called as aeroplanes. The rate of depreciation is 40. You are also having something called as water or pollution control equipment. Simply I can call it as a pollution control equipment. So whenever you are having something called as pollution control equipment, even then the rate of depreciation is going to be 40. Now only one thing we need to discuss, 45% is what, when we are going to apply the 45% rate. Clear? So we'll come to that later stage now. So the next block, fifth block, is something regarding 50%, sorry 45%. The next block is something regarding 45%. So when the rate of depreciation is 40, let us try to understand. This is a recent amendment with effect from 23rd August 2019, Finance Act 2019. So what this act says, this particularly says that whenever any person has acquired something called as motor car, something called as motor lorries, okay, any sort of motor car, motor lorries, or you are calling it as motor taxis, whatever name you call, if this assets, this motor car, this motor lorries, this motor taxis is acquired when on or after acquisition of this motor car, lorries or taxis is happening on or after what, 23rd August 2019. That means whenever any SSC has acquired the motor car, motor taxis or motor lorries on or after 1st August 2019, 23rd August 2019, but before, that means the acquisition should happen, before what, the acquisition should happen before, 1st April 2020. So acquisition should happen, but acquisition should happen before. What is the before date? 1st April 20. That's what is one condition. So to claim 45% of depreciation, you should purchase something called as motor car, motor lorries, motor taxis. What is the date of acquisition? Any time between 23rd August 2019 to 31st March 2020, any time you can acquire. Then the second condition, this motor car should be used for something called as hire business. That means you are using your motor car for the purpose of hiring, giving them on hire business, and acquisition is happening on this date, then that is going to be 45%. That's what is the thing. Now again, if we quickly summarize what we have discussed, we were discussing something called as section 32. What is section 32? Depreciation. On what it is available? Depreciation is available on something called as an asset and something called as block of asset. We'll discuss this concept of block of assets in detail. What is the meaning of asset? For that I need to refer something called as explanation 3 to section 32. What explanation 3 to section 32 says? It says that asset could be something called as tangible assets and something called as intangible asset. What is the meaning of tangible asset? Any asset which is called as building, which is called as plant and machinery, which is called as furniture is something called as what, tangible asset. Now any sort of asset which is something called as intangible asset is also called as an asset as per the explanation 3 to section 32. So now we had further continued our discussion and we discussed something called as block of assets. What is the meaning of block of assets? As per section 2 subsection 11, group of assets is something called as block of assets. So any sort of group of asset is said to be called as my block of asset, and that grouping of asset will be based upon something, two things are there. Type of asset, we need to consider rate of depreciation. Then we have discussed something called as rule 5 of sub rule 1, which speaks about rate of depreciation. As we are having tangible assets, three types of tangible assets: furniture, building, plant and machinery. Furniture, only one rate of depreciation is the 10%. Building, we are having 4 rates of depreciation. If the residential 5%, other than residential 10%, water treatment, temporary erection 40%. Plant and machinery, general rate of depreciation is going to be 15%. 20% is for ships, motor car, hire purpose, 30%. When again, that and fifth you need to read it together. If the motor cars were acquired, which are used for hire business, acquired on or after 23rd August 2019, 45. Same equation happens before the date, then ultimately the rate of depreciation is going to be 30. Then 40% is the rate of depreciation for computer, books, aeroplane, pollution control equipment. For all those cases, your rate of depreciation is going to be 5%. Now we are still at the conditions, discussing the conditions for claiming depreciation. What is the first condition there? The first condition is there should be an asset. That's what is the first condition. Now let us see the conditions for claiming your depreciation. Let me write the conditions for claiming the depreciation. Conditions. Let us write conditions for availing. Conditions for availing depreciation. Let us see. The first condition already we have discussed. There should be something called as an asset. For this we need to refer explanation 3 to section 32. That part is done. So that's what is the first condition. And there should be an asset. Now what is the next point? The next point says such asset, okay, such asset must be owned. Such asset must be owned by whom? By SSC. Such asset must be owned by the SSC. How you should hold? Either wholly or partially. That means 100% of the asset is acquired by you, or 70% or 40% of the asset is acquired by you. That's immaterial. So the point clearly says what? The asset should be owned by the SSC. How we should own that? You should own wholly. So you should own wholly or partially. So the asset should be held by the SSC either wholly or something called as partially. So asset must be owned by the SSC wholly or partially. That's what is the second condition. Now whenever we speak about something called as ownership, okay, when we speak about something called as ownership, there will be two different types of ownership which will be having. What are that? What is that? Let us try to understand. There is something called as registered, okay, there is something called as registered owner, okay, there is something called as registered owner, and there is some other thing which is called as beneficial owner. Registered owner as well as something called as beneficial owner. Registered owner means what? Registered as per Registration of Documents Act. Every person who is having an asset, if the value of asset is going to be more than 100 rupees, as per Registration of Documents Act, registration is compulsory. So if asset is registered in name of SSC, he will be said to be called as registered owner. Now if registration is not done, but few conditions of section 53A of Transfer of Property Act is complied, then that person is said to be called as the beneficial owner. Now what we are calling about, we need to understand something called as section 53A of what? Not of Income Tax Act. Section 53A of something called as Transfer of Property Act. Now again, there should be some person called as beneficial owner, okay. Who is called as beneficial owner? For that I need to understand something called as section 53A of Transfer of Property Act. I should understand what does section 53 of TP Act says. Section 53A of Transfer of Property Act says that if the conditions are satisfied, then even though registration is not done, he will be called as a beneficial owner. Now what are those conditions which are supposed to be satisfied? Condition number 1, ownership is transferred. So the ownership is transferred from seller to buyer. The ownership is transferred. So whenever the ownership is transferred from seller to buyer, then ultimately I can call the first condition is satisfied. And it says indirectly what the property passes from seller to buyer. That's what is something called as ownership is transferred. And there should be an agreement for what? Agreement for consideration to be received. So whether you may be receiving consideration or there may be some sort of agreement for receiving of the consideration. If these two conditions are fulfilled, so what you are trying to do, you are trying to comply with these two conditions. So once these two conditions are complied, then ultimately what will happen? So if these two conditions are satisfied, the act says even registration is incomplete, transfer is deemed to be completed. So the transfer is deemed to be completed. So for the purpose of section 32, you should be owner. For this purpose, owner include what it include? It also includes something called as a beneficial owner. So beneficial owner is also called as the owner for this purpose. Okay, so the second condition we have discussed. Now let us move on to the third condition. What is the third condition? The third condition says that, okay, let us see. The third condition says that asset, whatever asset you are having, whether it is tangible or intangible, okay, asset must be used. What you have to do? That asset you need to use, asset must be used for the purpose of what? For the purpose of business or profession. So whatever assets you have, that asset must be used for what purpose? For the purpose of business or profession. So this is the major thing which we need to focus. So now again, if we quickly go back and quickly discuss the three conditions. What are those three conditions? There should be first of all an asset, and you should be called as owner. Whether you are a registered owner or whether you are a beneficial owner, you should be first of all called as a owner of the asset. Then what? Whatever asset you are being called as a owner, that asset should be used for what purpose? Business or profession. Then the third condition, fourth condition. What is the fourth condition? When I am supposed to use, say you are in the financial year 1920, you had used the asset for 1819, but you had not used the asset for 1920, you can't take. So the act clearly says asset should be used for the purpose of business or profession during the relevant previous year. So here what we are considering, asset must be used. Asset must be used for what? For asset must be used during the previous year. Asset must be used during the previous year, during the relevant previous year. Asset must be used during the relevant previous year. So whatever is your relevant previous year, in that relevant previous year you should use the asset. Now this is very important point. Now this statement is very important. Asset must be used during the relevant previous year. Now why this is important? Let us see. If you look into section 32, it says asset must be used during the previous year for 182 days or more. That means this usage should be there for 182 days or more. So now here I want to put one special point. What the act exactly says is asset acquired. Asset acquired. Okay, one second. So asset acquired. Now what you are doing? So the point is what? Asset acquired. Asset is acquired. and what? Put to use. Asset acquired and put to use. How many days you are supposed to put that? Acquired and put to use. It says clearly, okay, asset acquired and put to use for more than 180 days. You are acquiring an asset and that asset acquired is put to use for a period of more than 180 days. Now here, when? That's what is the most important thing. It says clearly both the transactions, both, that means acquisition and put to use, both the transactions should happen during the same previous year. Acquisition happening in 1 year, put to use happening in some other year, this provision is not going to apply. Clear? When this provision is going to apply, this provision is going to apply whenever the acquisition, put to use, both the parameters happens in one same financial year, then only this happens. Example, say suppose asset was acquired. So asset was acquired when? We'll call this as date of acquisition. Let us take the date of acquisition to be 1st January 2019. So the date of acquisition is going to be 1st Jan 2019. Then let us consider what? Put to use. What is the meaning of put to use? Start using that. Start using that is something called as put to use. What is the date of put to use? Let us consider the asset was put to use in 31st December 2020. So the date put to use is what? 31st December 2020 is the date put to use, and date of acquisition is what? 1st January 19. So ultimately this 1st January 19 is in the financial year what? 18-19. This is in the financial year what? 19-20. So this is happening in the financial year 19-20. Now ultimately what I had mentioned, both the transactions should happen in the same financial year. Acquisition, put to use should happen in the same financial year. So in this case, acquisition was happening in one financial year, put to use is happening in other financial year. So this provision is not going to be applicable. What is this provision? I have not mentioned that. I will explain that clearly. Now, when this provision is going to be applicable, this point clearly says that assets should be acquired and put to use for a period of more than 180 days. What is the meaning? Acquisition should happen in the same previous year. Put to use must also happen in the same previous year. Then this provision is applicable. This is what is something called as our example number 1. Now, let me quote example number 2. Example number 2. Let us take something called as the date of acquisition, and let us take something called as date of put to use. Date of acquisition, date put to use. Let us see. Now, let us consider date of acquisition is 1st June 19. Date put to use is going to be 31st January 20. Now, acquisition happened in financial year 1920. Put to use also happened in the same financial year 1920. Both happened in the same year. Then ultimately what I will do? This provision is going to be applicable. This provision is going to be applicable as both the transactions are happening in the same previous year. Now what is this provision? We are discussing that this provision is applicable or not. Now what is this provision speaking about? This provision says that if put to use for less than, if put to use for less than 180 days, then what the act says? You can't get full rate of depreciation. The act says you are entitled for 50% of normal rate of depreciation. That's the thing of applicability of this provision. Put to use happening for a period of less than 180 days, 50% of the normal rate of depreciation is entitled. Put to use for a period of more than 180 days is applicable. Then ultimately what will happen? you will be taking the full rate of depreciation if the asset is acquired and put to use. Both the things are happening in the same financial year. Now let us take a small table. In that, let us try to prepare. First, let us take one column. Date of acquisition is my first column. My second column is nothing but date put to use is my second column. My third column is nothing but cost of asset is my third column. Okay, the fourth column, let us consider it as your rate of depreciation. Let us take your fourth column as supposed to be rate of depreciation. Rate of depreciation is your fourth column. Then the last column is the amount of depreciation which you can claim under section 32. So if you look this table, the above provision becomes quite easy for you. Now let us take the date of acquisition. First case, let us put is very simple. 1st April 2019 is the date of acquisition. Put to use 30th April 2019. Acquisition happened in the same financial year. Put to use happened in the same financial year. Now let us take the cost of the asset to be 10 lakhs. Let us take the cost of the asset to be 10 lakhs and let us take the rate of depreciation to be 10%. Then what is the rate of depreciation? What is the amount of depreciation? Asset acquired, put to use during the previous year for a period of more than 180 days. Then I can take the 100% of the normal rate of depreciation. So cost of the asset is what? 10 lakhs. Rate of depreciation is what? 10%. The amount of depreciation which I can take is going to be something called as 1 lakh is nothing but the amount of depreciation. That's what is the first example. Second case, let us consider date of acquisition is 1st April 2019. Date put to use is 1st Jan 2020. Cost of acquisition of the asset being 15 lakhs, 5 lakhs, cost of asset being 5 lakhs. Let us take the same case where rate of depreciation being 10%. No, acquisition happened in 1920, put to use happened in 1920. So ultimately both the transactions are happening in the same financial year. Then I need to say asset put to use for a period of more than 180, asset put to use for a period of less than 180. So asset is put to use for a period of less than 180 because you are using that for the month of January, February, March. So only 3 months are used. Only 31 days in the month of January, 29 days in the month of February, 31 days in the month of March. So ultimately asset is used for a period of less than 180 days. So your entitlement is not 10%, you are entitled for only 5%. 5% of 5 lakhs. That's what is going to give you a rate of depreciation. So what you will be getting as your depreciation? 25,000 is going to be the rate of depreciation. 50% of your normal rate. Normal rate is 10. 50% of that is amounting to 5. So 5% into 5 lakhs is going to be 25,000. That's what is the second example. Third example, which will give you more clarity on this. Third example, let me consider asset was acquired on 1st Jan 19. Asset was acquired on 1st Jan 19. Put to use happened on 1st March 20. Asset was acquired on 1st Jan 19. Asset was put to use on 1st Jan 20. Let us consider the cost of the asset being 10 lakhs is the cost of the asset. Let us, for our easy calculation, consider the rate of depreciation as 10% only. Now in this case what will happen? Asset was acquired in the financial year 18-19. Asset was put to use in the financial year 19-20. So both are happening in two different financial years. As both are happening in two different financial years, this provision is not applicable. So as this provision is not applicable, even though the assets are used for a period of less than 180 days, I cannot consider 50% of your normal rate. So in this case, what is my rate of depreciation? 10% into 10 lakhs. So ultimately, my amount of depreciation is going to be 1 lakh. Again, asset put to use, acquired and put to use both happens the same financial year, then only 50% of the normal rate of depreciation. Put to use in 1 year, acquired in 1 year, put to use even happening for a period of less than 180 days, still you can take the 100% of your normal rate of depreciation. So we now got a clarity on what is the conditions to claim depreciation. If the asset is used for a period of less than 180 days, then we also know how do we calculate the depreciation on that. This point is not yet done. I will again discuss this when we are trying to understand something called as a written down value. So once we had done with the written down value, there will take few examples, written down value, block of assets concept. There we'll try to discuss in a block, whenever an asset is acquired, put to use for a period of less than 180, then how do we calculate the depreciation. So now basically we know conditions for depreciation. Once the conditions for depreciation are done, I need to understand 43. We need to understand something called as section 43 subsection 5. So we need to understand what, 43 subsection 6. We need to understand something called as 43 subsection 6. Let us see. Okay, we need to understand something called as section 43 subsection 6. We need to understand something called as section 43 subsection 6. What is this? Section 43 subsection 6 speaks about something called as written down value. Why this section is important? Because I had already mentioned one key thing, that depreciation is calculated on something called as written down value. So how do we calculate? We compute something called as WDV. This WDV into rates of depreciation. How we are calculating this rate of depreciation? By applying something called as rule 5 sub rule 1, which is already discussed above. We'll try to calculate the depreciation. So WDV into rate of depreciation. So what we have done there? WDV multiplied by rate of depreciation. So WDV, which is multiplied by rate of depreciation, is generally called as the fundamental principle for calculation of your depreciation. The fundamental principle is what? The fundamental principle for calculation of depreciation is nothing but WDV into rate of depreciation. That's what is the general fundamental principle. Now, okay, in the next coming video, next coming session, we'll try to understand how do we compute, computation of WDV. So in the next class, we'll be trying to discuss what we will be trying to discuss: computation of something called as written down value. Okay, so that we'll try to discuss in the next coming session. Okay, I hope all the points are of section 32 are cleared. What is depreciation? When you can claim depreciation? What is the meaning of asset? What is explanation 3 to section 32? What is 5 rule sub rule 1? And what is the meaning of block of asset? And what are the conditions which you are supposed to comply for your depreciation? I hope everything else is clear. In case of any doubts, please put the message or put the comment so that I can address and I can explain. Clear? So depreciation, as I already mentioned in the class, is one of the biggest section in the profits and gains from business or profession. So I will take 2 or 3 videos to complete the entire chapter of entire concept of the depreciation. I'll be going this depreciation part very slowly, because once the depreciation is done, we'll be entering into section 35. Section 35 we can finish off it very quickly, and of course other parts of the subsection 35 also we can do it very quickly. So I want to spend more amount of time in your section 32, which is nothing but your depreciation. Clear?